Hello, mistakes were made, tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Ogre Battle with me, BlueAnkylo. Although, there's a small caveat. So, first off, in the background you'll be hearing different music for today's episode. And this is post-commentary, so I apologize for that. I'll be playing through the footage on approximately 3 times speed and covering what I meant to say, sort of to save some time. The music in the background is from OC Remix. It's the only Ogre Battle Super Nintendo track I could find, and I think it's appropriate for at least some level of background music, so it's not just silence. Basically, what happened was I was recording this episode, and for some reason my broadcasting software didn't work, and I didn't save any of my commentary or any of the game's audio, so that's why we're playing on super speed with me adding at least something now so you guys can see what happened. Basically, just looking at the map, this is the Tundra, which is where the angels mentioned something was going on with, what's her name, Yushi. And I also mentioned at the beginning of this episode that I'm going to be trying to do something a little bit differently this time around. Instead of going, there's a little bit of a video glitch as well as the screen pans around. You might have seen it. But because I started this series back in December and it's now like April, I'm trying to speed up the progress of Let's Playing, like the video release schedule. So I'm trying to do, instead of splitting up each of these maps into 2 or 3 parts, like half-an-hour episodes, I'm going to plan on just doing full-length the entire mission, which is going to take an hour and a half. Of course, this episode is special because it's at triple speed, but normally the next episode that will come out will probably be an hour to an hour and a half long, just to make sure we cover all the bases, and that way I should be done in like 10 more episodes instead of like 30, because there's still quite a long ways to go. Now, as far as this map is concerned, it's mostly snow, as you've probably noticed, and there's quite a few cities spread out, but my strategy here is to send as many as I can down the main line towards the enemy base, that big road in the center. I'm sending 2 high alignment and I believe 4 low alignment units straight that direction. And I'm having a couple other units, including myself, cover the sides just to liberate a few towns. As far as the text is going there, you'll learn that it's actually stuff we've heard before. Mizal was the head angel, and she fell in love with Rashidi, apparently, and made a contract with him and is now working for him. And Mizal is on this map, so this is why we went and found Yushi first, so we could come here and have her confront her sister. Also, this entire land was in a crazy battle 25 years ago. The entire place was covered in snow, and it's just been snowing for 25 years, so I think I mentioned quite a few times that I don't understand how these people eat food. Like, how do these people not starve to death? Because, like, in a medieval society, farming's pretty important when you don't have, like, tractors. And, you know, it's just snowing, so they're probably all undead by now. Anyway, we just got a flame weapon, which is cool. The guy said something about, you know, make sure you give your cold units a flame weapon. I think he's kind of full of it, but if you're fighting enemies that are strong to ice and weak to fire, having some fire weapons to switch around is good. We actually do that in this battle at some point. I'll see if I can catch it. I don't spend a lot of time playing with elemental weaknesses in this game, because I find, well, there's just too many units with too many weapons, and the UI is a bit clunky, so I don't switch them around that often, but it does work, certainly. So I catch the High Sky Cherubim Wyvern unit there flying over. It's actually targeting my unit, which is what I was guessing at there. Unlike most of them that head to the enemy base or just down the road to the cities, some units go directly at your opinion leader, which is me. So I quickly back up one of my units, planning to attack the angel at night and defend my own unit. You can see we've made it about halfway down the main road by now, and this is where we'll make our first stand over the first night, which is the plan. My unit there, I think that's Riddle's unit. That's the one with the Snow Dragon gold, I believe, right now. He can move through the ice a lot quicker than the rest of the units. It's my only ice unit I've got, so that's why he was so quick. And that's my flying, I think it's my flyer. That's probably Guy's unit, and he gave us some useless egg I'll never look at again. But yeah, at this point I'm not sure if there's going to be enemies flying to the west, so I'm going to keep them there for a little bit just to keep some line of sight. And having Geist, I believe. Yeah, Geist is going to defend my unit from the angels as soon as it's night. Our first battle, and oh boy, video glitch. Good start. Anyway, I think at this point I'm like, there's a lot of ice dragons here. My ice cloud isn't very effective, and neither is my ice attack. The numbers, assuming you can even see them, are relatively low, and I'm like, maybe I should move the dragon into the front row and Riddle into the front row where we'll get more physical attacks. And so I'm like, okay, let's think about that. Depends on what's up next. If we're fighting the group of 5, we won't want to do that, but if we're fighting the dragons, let's try out a bunch of physical attacks in the front row. Of course, what I didn't realize was that the dragon in the front row actually just does a magic ice attack anyway. I think at Silver Dragon it would have been different, but at Gold Dragon he just gets a magic attack anyway. And it turns out that Riddle isn't all that great with his sword anyway, so we didn't actually manage to finish that group off, and as you can see, 3 cold attacks isn't probably any better than 2 ice clouds, so we just go back to the old ways, but I figured I would try it out at least once. Being able to reform your groups on the fly is really valuable. There's lots of times that's smart to do, especially if you just want to try stuff out. So, there you go. So I'm really trying to use the demon units here, the demon shinobi evil ones, because these guys are a little bit low level compared to the rest of my dudes, and they're kind of struggling to keep up. And unfortunately, as you can see here, they keep sucking. You know, we miss a lot of our attacks. It's going to be a theme of this one. Watch how many times my ninjas miss on their one attack. So I'm just checking out levels and stuff, and I'm like, man, we're really struggling here. So that's the trouble with them. I think the vampire werewolf units, my other knight ones for this one, they do quite well. But for whatever reason, my demon imp ninja unit's just not that good. Alright, so there's Griffin Angels. These guys are pretty annoying because they get so much physical attack that double physical AoE is pretty brutal. And again, you see my ninja unit not doing an amazing job, so at this point I'm like, how am I going to do this? Let's make sure it's nighttime so we get full buff, and the enemy... This map has a lot of angels and other sort of good units, which is why we don't have Phantom on the side, because pure undead would just be one shot by all the angels constantly. But I still want to use my other evil units when possible so that we're not losing alignment on our good units, which is the trouble with fighting enemy good units. So far the demons haven't been off to a great start. We get to see Kid finish this off, and I'm pretty impressed with him, of course, because, you know, he's pretty strong. And then Geist finally runs into these Wyvern Angels. Now, our first battle with actual Tigermen and vampires and stuff, and we're like, well, yeah, they're pretty good, right? You know, I'm like, oh, I think we just, yeah, we're good. So, the vampire werewolves, no problem. It's just the demon imps, the demon ninjas. They're having a struggle. And I decided to continue liberating. We've got ice giants, silver dragons. We'll see a lot of those on this map. And we get to see Kid just slaughter some more people, I think. Also, enemy muses. This might be the first time we've seen enemies with muses, just in random groups. They are very strong, and you'll see them pummeling us quite often. If the enemy was smart, they would include a lot more back row muses way more often, because they are so good. And they're also, like, high alignment units, so they tend to work better during the day, and they're good against evil, you know. Alright, so Indy tries it again. Let's see if he can hold it out. The ice giants aren't that tough, as it turns out. But if you saw that, my top right guy only did like 3 or 4 damage, 5 that time, I think. Which is pretty poor, and I'm like, why did he do so little? Oh, he's got an ice sword equipped. And then I'm like, well, I gotta find someone that has a better weapon for him, because the ice weapon's not gonna work against ice giants, ice dragons, stuff like that. And then I remember, wait a second, they gave me a fire sword when I liberated that last city. Let's just put the fire sword on him like they said. Bam, done. So we'll see if that makes it any better next time he fights. You know, be prepared. Elemental weaknesses are a thing. And crushed. Another victory for the werewolves, basically. I'm going to pump a lot of heal potions into Indy and Aldrich's units on this map. Because, well, it turns out that those angels, I think those are, cherubim get 1 attack. No, angels get 1 attack, cherubim get 2 attacks. That banish attack is incredibly effective. I think it's been buffed from the original game to the mod version I'm playing, because it definitely seems to hit harder than usual. This is one of the easier enemy units. As much as Samurai Masters are pretty tough, it's really nice for us to AoE and just, I mean, that's a nice quick wipe. I'm happy with that. Alright, so here's our revenge for the Ice Sword versus the Flame Sword for the Dark Knight in this fight. See if you can notice the difference. Oh, 61 damage instead of 5. Yeah, it's noticeable. So I was pretty happy with myself there. Not that I'm going to spend much more time, you know, changing weapons, but it is always a pleasure to see it actually work. Also, you get to see a paladin, an enemy paladin in the back row. He gets 2 heals per round. It's still not enough to be that dangerous. He's kind of a weaker shaman if the enemy puts him in the back row. It's more like what they're for isn't really for healing. It's like if you've got a unit with no cleric or angel and you've got no holy weapons available, you can move your paladin into the back row and still be able to kill those undead if you need to. That's usually what I would use them for. I'm not sure why I was checking Debonair out so closely. Oh, I think I was mentioning that I changed Debonair's unit between episodes. Last time he had his own unit of lazy, lousy units, and I think I just added him to Norn and Aisha's unit just so that they've got a more stronger, less overall units and one really good unit was what I was thinking. That's right. So here we go, Indy taking out some Valkyries. If these were Muses, we'd have been in really big trouble because they'd have got 4 lightning bolts, AoE lightning bolts, which would have, well, they probably would have killed us. With that, I believe we finally get our Brute promoted. I think I did that right there. Can't remember what I was talking about for this phase, but there you go. We're promoted. We're doing... I think I might have said, like, you know, it's the middle of the night. We should be doing we should be as strong as we can, and we're still taking a ton of damage from these angels, because it seems to be, like, we're having a really hard time. And we get a lot of misses. It's hard to see the misses on the super speed, especially when the video glitches, but it's just... There's a lot of hard drive access right now because I'm playing a video and recording a video at the same time. But, yeah, I mean, like, for whatever reason, those ninjas, they seem to miss constantly in here. At this point, I decide it's definitely time to push forward. We fought through the night, the first wave of enemies, and we automatically got a moon card, which was pretty lucky, I thought, because it keeps my evil units, the ones I want to use, strong, rather than having to fight with my good units. And I think, hey, why don't we just push all the way forward to the next city? Because, you know, if it's going to be night, we can just keep pushing up. The enemy's been... We've defeated the first wave, so sure, let's do it. Somewhere around here, I realized that they're not going to make it easy for us. There's quite the army coming in. But Riddle's unit is really strong, and you see here, he doesn't take much damage. That would be Fenrir in the front with his gold dragon. And, like, we're just destroying these guys. And we basically took no damage in response. I think I'm like, well, we're almost at Monk. The Dragoon with Brunhild, that's supposed to be with Tristan, but whatever, for now it's fine, is just crushing face, basically. I did notice that there's a flyer there, so that Angel Wyvern unit could skip out the bridge. But yeah, at this point I'm like, well, I mean, we could just let Riddle/Fenrir's unit we could just push all the way to the enemy base with this one unit, I think, because, like, it's not a problem, really. I realize we're all level 17, and I'm like, well, I don't want to over-level, but let's just have a quick look at how this goes. Not particularly strong against the enemy dragons, but I think it's still a pretty solid victory here. Yeah, we didn't even really take any damage, so no problem. Trying to keep an eye on me and Norn. I decide, oh yeah, I want Norn to face, like, I want Yushi, who's in Norn's group, to face her sister, so I gotta bring her up front. And I've still got Geist trying to catch up. Like, let's finish these guys off. Oh good, the dragon just kills everyone. Fine, that's good, easy. I'm like, wait a second, Riddle is losing alignment. I have to be careful with Riddle because I need to promote him into a Dragon Master. I'm looking for an alignment up item right there, and I didn't find any, so I'm like, I need to be careful with Riddle because he hasn't got his final promotion yet, and it's hard to come back from a really, really low alignment. And then my dragon kills everything. I'm like, wait a second, we are losing a fair bit of alignment here. I need to stop using Riddle to kill everything because these guys are like low levels and good units. So I need to go back to my original strategy of using the evil units to kill all these good enemy units. It's fun using the Dragoons, but unfortunately this is not a great map for them. So we get to see my... Yeah, this group is the one that really suffers. I had to run away there because they were going to kill Aldrich for sure with the banishes. So I had him run away. I'm like, well, I don't know why we're taking so much damage, why we're missing so often, but you know, we might as well keep him alive, save the revive potions a little bit longer. You know, they can't heal like we can, so we can win eventually, but I think we got a lucky miss there, so I didn't have to run away, and then we managed to not die, but at least at this point I think we've managed to kill their enemy wyverns, so they're going to be a lot slower, which is good. It's just, I remember being flabbergasted at just how strong these angels were for the enemy. Because my angels, which we haven't seen in battle this time, haven't been that amazing. They do like 20 damage, and we're always fighting at evil units. And these angels are fighting at night, which shouldn't be very good for them. Anyway, the werewolves continue to crush everything, as we should be used to. Oh, at this point I start wondering, why is my sorceress choosing to use ice magic against dragons that are definitely strong against ice? And if you watch, you might notice that the sorceresses, for some reason, don't seem to choose magic that enemies are weak to, like a mage or a ninja does. They seem to just choose their magic randomly. It's kind of frustrating. Like, she obviously has the fire attack. That was plasma, which does fire damage. I'm, like, very, very sure that ice dragons are weaker to fire than anything else. And you'll see that mages will choose to use fire against ice dragons. The problem is, and so will the ninjas, for whatever reason, my sorceress, my female mages, they decide... Uh-oh. Something's going on. Hard drive. Hopefully that didn't sound terrible on the video. We're having some problems. I don't want to have to do this for any more episodes if possible. At least I can see that it's recording volume correctly this time. I'll have a look at this episode once it's done. If it's terrible, I won't. You will never see it. But if I judge it not terrible, then it'll be on YouTube. So what happened there? I don't know. We just killed some people. Not much to talk about, really. We're just pushing through the video artifacts and crushing most of the enemy units. We're kind of at the end phase push at this point. We've made it to that last city, basically. There's actually quite a lot of enemy units on this map. They keep spawning in. Like, they can only have a maximum of 10 on the map, same as we can. But they must have 30 or so. Maybe the maximum is 25, but they've got it feels like they've got lots of people they keep deploying as you kill their units. So as we get closer to the base, you can see that happening a little bit more in real time. You also get to see Eric's unit just destroying everyone here. I didn't even bother healing him because at this point, while the angels are rough, they're rude and rough at the same time. But, you know, we're doing pretty well at just wiping them out. I realize the music might be a bit... Trying to speak quickly because there's lots going on. The music might be a bit repetitive, but that's all I've got right now. I don't have the actual soundtrack for the game. So I just figure I'll liberate the last few cities. I don't think the cities really told us anything interesting. One of them talked about the High Knights, but we already knew that. A couple of them talked about Mitzal and the pact between angels, in case you forgot about it. I think at this point I was just trying to plot out how I was going to use Aldrich and Indy to try to get some levels up, because they're a little bit lower leveled than Eric and his friends. Although Eric's unit is pretty good. We did lose our sorceress there, thanks to the witch being something that rhymes with witch. I'm a little bit upset at this point because I just lost one of my dudes and I didn't want to have to revive them. And I noticed the enemy's still deploying a lot of units, even though we killed most of them already. So we tried again. It's dawn though, so we're probably not in full form, and I decided to run away. And at this point I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to use a lot of potions here and items to get everyone revived. At least we'll have that city taken pretty soon. But the enemy just keeps doing too much damage, basically, to my poor evil ones who continue to die. And the video continues to glitch. And this might not have been my best strategy for how to post-process a video. Anyway, we got that final city. Of course, they gave us the fortune card and made us boo. I believe at that point I'm like, yeah, the game's telling me it's time to wrap this up. Starting to give me lower reputation just for conquering a city. I realize it's daytime and it's going to be hard to survive. So I'm thinking like, yeah, if we use Riddle to kill stuff, it's fine. He'd be strong enough during the day. But and same with Norn, they're going to lose too much alignment. And at that point I'm like, well, I don't really want to use my high alignment units and lose alignment so they can't promote or they can't liberate properly. So I have to use another Moonbeam, change it to night, and start healing up all my eviler units so that they'll be strong enough to survive the night, basically. So there's going to be a lot of double checking here, making sure people are healed up. Trying to find Aldrich, trying to make sure I'm healing him. I suppose at this point, retrospectively, I could have tried throwing in a few more tarot cards. Probably would have... I don't know if it would have changed much, but if I'd opened that with a tarot card, they might have been able to kill one of the dragons if I used the right tarot card, possibly. It's hard to say. You know, it doesn't feel... Like, I think there was one there where one of my ninjas attacked, and they missed the entire enemy team, and I'm like almost raging a little bit here in my original video, because I'm like, what is going on, right? Like, ninjas, my most agile units... Oh, there's the one with the dragoons. My most agile units are just missing constantly. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I'm getting a little bit salty, I guess. But that's all in the past now. Everything's fine. I am seriously considering cutting out either Aldrich or Indy's unit. It's nice to have the evil units, but they're just not that useful. So probably after this episode, I'll reform. We'll keep one of them, whichever one I think has the stronger characters. And that way you'll still get to see some ninjas and some evil ones. And I want to show you guys the promotion to demons eventually. But having the two of them, I think, is kind of a detriment. It doesn't help. The vampire and werewolf units are fine. But these ninjas, they're just, for whatever reason, they're just not good enough. I know at this point I was thinking, like, I could put them in the front row and they'd get 3 attacks physically, kind of like the evil ones. But they do less damage with their shuriken. And they're even more fragile. Like, they go down really quickly if they get hit by physical attacks. Even more than my evil ones that are... I mean, they're going down pretty quick, too. Lots of little rearrangements here. But I think we're at the point where it's almost time to push forward, because there's not too much left. And I think Geist gets here? Yeah. Geist was the one that defended me earlier on. As soon as Geist catches up, like, Eric's already done lots of killing with his vampire unit. Once Geist gets there with his vampire unit, I think I decide, well, we'll just let him get the rest of the experience and kill off, and then that'll be good for this map, basically. Sort of deciding probably in my head that I'm not going to keep Aldrich and Indy for too much longer. Just one or the other. Yeah, I think this is Geist unit, and you're like, oh yeah, look at that, it's fine. Maybe that might have been Eric, but, you know, whatever. The vampire unit's here. Now it's Geist for sure, and I'm like, okay, you haven't had a lot of fighting yet, let's see how you do. The sorceress for some reason uses ice magic when I don't understand why, but it doesn't really matter because we just kill them all anyway. Like, we know the frost giants are strong to ice. She should have been picking other spells, but I get the feeling she's just picking randomly, unlike your sort of smart casted ninjas and mages and stuff. Just double checking their levels, they're all 17, I'm like, yeah, we can get up to level 18 here. Especially killing level 14 dragons, definitely good to use evil units. And you saw she used Whale that time, and then Phantom the turn after, like, just seems to be random. So I'm thinking it'd be nice to kill that last unit in the base, but it's now nighttime, my vampires are going away, and I don't want to waste any more time, so let's just switch up. We'll let Norn finish it off, because she's the one I want to kill the boss with anyway. I continue to get evil cards. Oh, this is important. Rashidi asked for a very special stone, and Missal gave it to him. That was an important little piece of lore there that we're going to want to know about later on. Although I'm pretty sure Missal will talk about it when we get to the city. We'll slow the battle down once we get to the final battle here, just so you guys can see that at normal speed. Anyway, Norn's unit's pretty good. Let's prepare to slow this down. Video... Where's my speed? Playback. Speed. Slow it down. That should be ×2 speed. If I turn it down one more, that'll be just ×1 speed. Ah, too slow. Alright, so Missal and Yushi speak to each other. I'm sure I had some terrible voice acting for them. Having no idea how to do angelic female voices, I probably just made up something terrible. But hopefully you guys can read along. Missal is apparently upset because she gave the black diamond to Rashidi and possibly cause some sort of demon apocalypse that she was not supposed to do, because she's supposed to be like an angel that works for the gods and something something, I don't know. So anyway, we decide we're gonna fight it out, as we tend to. And, I mean, you get to see this unit in action. Aisha, Norn, and Debonair. With 3 hero units, it's pretty strong. I decide smartly to use a world card, expecting Mitzal to have a very powerful magic. And I also think, hey, these guys are probably weak to fire. Why don't we burn them a little bit? So we go with the burn. Magician does a ton of damage. And then, of course, Norn hits them with some more. At this point, I'm thinking, yeah, we're probably good. We don't need to use any more cards. And then Jihad hits. Or it doesn't. Haha! So, Jihad is something that we'll eventually learn if I promote my angels further. But for now, we just have to work with Banish. And Starlight. Jihad's a lot like Starlight. I think it has higher base damage, though. At this point, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to be able to kill her or not. And Debonair saves the day. And finishes off Mizal. I think that was the last attack of the round, too, which is pretty good. So now that Mizal is dying, you know, poor her. I think I had something, I talked about this a little bit. I'm not very supportive of Mizal in this situation. She's supposed to be one of the guardian angel people, and for some reason she thought it was a good idea to give Rashidi this super important valuable stone that's as powerful as the Zodiac stones, which we don't even know much about, and basically doomed the planet because of some smooth-talking mage. So, yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. Anyway, we liberated Valhalla, and everything is happy. Of course, after this, we revisit all the cities and get some treasure. I'll show that off, but again, we'll go back to faster speed here. Faster! I need to figure out the keyboard shortcuts for that. And faster still. Alright, that'll be triple speed again for the last little bit. So I think standard stuff here. I send my flyers out to find treasure and go liberate the last few cities. I think I missed the temples, basically. So we might as well pick those up on our way over. So while we're doing that, I seem to remember the cities don't say much. Why don't you guys in the comments let me know what you think about my strategy here for one episode at a time, like one map per episode, keeping in mind that this is about a third of how long they'll normally be. Oh, I don't even know what I did here. I was like, oh, I wanted to look at the map, right? I had to bring up my map for all the treasures. So sorry about that. Could have cut it out, I guess, but, you know, it's fine. You get to see me raw footage. But yeah, like, let me know what you guys think about one map per episode, longer, hour and a half type episodes, specifically so that we can get this series done. I mean, I enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. But the game is longer than I thought, longer than I remembered, and it's taking a really long time to finish the Let's Play. Like, if it started at the beginning of December, we're not done yet. There's still a long way to go. Like, I don't want to spend half a year per Let's Play. I want to get these things rolling quicker. In the future, I'm gonna probably try like 2 episodes per day of a game for a series. That'll speed things up a little bit. But for Ogre Battle, I think what I'll do is just one long episode for each map, and that way there'll only be like probably 7 or 8 more episodes. I think there's about that many left, and they'll just be longer. But you know, that's my thinking anyway. We'll see how it goes. I'm definitely not gonna be doing it like this again, because this is really awkward. But unless I make some more huge mistakes with my recording software. The cities are just happy, you know, everyone's like, hey, thanks for rescuing us, yay. Basically, everyone says the same thing. We're finding a few treasure. As we get to the end of this, I actually found some really good buried treasures, so I'm glad I spent the time to do it. A white bracelet is not one of the good treasures, though. But, spending the time, like, you either use a walkthrough or a FAQ to find it, to be told where to look, or you spend the time manually looking around for the treasure. But there is really good treasure on most maps, and I highly recommend spending at least some time looking for buried treasure if you want to get the weapons and items and stuff that are awesome. You know, it's just part of the deal. I do notice that Slust is losing a lot of alignment there. I have to be careful with that. Thanks, blah blah blah. I think this one at the enemy base says something. Something unique. At least you guys can pause. if you really need to. A snow cape. It's really not that good. Physical and cold resistance. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've had those before. They're not that amazing. So far, we haven't picked up any good items, but don't worry. The last few treasures will be good. Also, I was talking like, oh, the Land of Imprisonment. That will be the next episode. They talked about Antalya a lot, but it's actually Antangel where we'll find the imprisoned monster. But, yeah. Thunder turns out to be a whip. Not that good. Still got, I think, 3 or 4 treasures left, though. Looking at my map, trying to figure it all out. And I decided to switch it back to night like that because it was going to be like 30,000 in upkeep at the end of the day. Or just 2 or 4,000, whatever a Moonbeam costs, just to cycle the night like that. And I decided we'll save, you know, $30,000, give or take. 30,000 goth. And just do it like that. I know there's treasure on this island, I'm just struggling to figure out where it was exactly. The Euros, I think we've actually got one already, but that's one of those special wind blades. There's a side quest for those at some point. I don't know how I missed it. There's a treasure right beside that character. Sigmund, another very special sword. I don't think it has any quests, but I believe that's one of those real-life lore swords, actually. I think that's... Sigmund, at least, is a real person in some sort of lore. Someone in the comments can remind me, but I'm pretty sure that's something. I've definitely recognized the name, anyway. Chariot cards are always nice. Looking for this last piece of treasure, trying to figure out where I missed it. And it's, of course, somewhere that I thought I'd already been. And we get the black armor. So I got another wind sword and a Sigmund armor. Or Sigmund sword. Those are really good swords. And with that, we're done, basically. We're pretty much for sure going to Antangel next. And I think I talked about how Fort Alamut is kind of like the next boss city. Kind of like City of Milano and a couple of the other cities we've been to. So once we do that, a bunch of stuff will unlock. And Antangel is kind of like another side quest mission, sort of. Kind of like Slums and Milano. Fort Alamut is one of the boss cities. So with that, I end the episode again. Thanks for watching. Hope you haven't minded the slightly odd post-commentary video. And next episode will probably be a lot longer, so be prepared. But it will at least be a normal episode with normal commentary.